Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday Eve. So, we're just going to go through the agenda real quick, and I certainly have not forgotten about the um, court hearing for the Kemp case. It looks like it was taking care of Kemp and Whaley. I don't know what's going on with the deputy. I haven't looked, and quite frankly, I'm not real concerned about it now. He did play a role, but if you go back and look at his interview, it looks to me like he was a little bit of the scapegoat. That's an opinion. Bet that. I mean, I know there's many of you that feel like he was pretty much to blame. But like I said, if you look at the interviews, you can find those on Valerie Crowder's Substack. She is an independent, it is definitely early. She's an independent journalist with the Florida Trident, and I will link to that again. It is behind a paywall, but you can actually subscribe for free. I do recommend supporting independent journalism, of course. Now, she is a professional journalist. She is not like me. I'm just some regular old citizen, putting information out there for you, but she is actually a journalist and a very good writer. And she's not afraid to cover things that are a little bit trivial. So she did post all of the interview videos raw, unfiltered, and in their full capacity. If you want to see those, that's a good place to look at them. In the meantime, I am unable to distribute a copy of that court hearing, which I find incredibly interesting. Now, I am very versed in public records. I am not versed in judicial records, which have a different set of rules. So I have reached out to the Second Circuit Court, Second Judicial Circuit, I believe that's what it's called. A little bit of a tongue twister for us non-legalese folks, and I have reached out to them to ask some additional questions about disclosure. I know that the document that I had to sign in order to obtain it states that I cannot distribute it. I have confirmed that it cannot go on social media. So, what I find interesting about that is the court hearings are open to the public. So had I taken that day off work and I had went to that hearing, I would have heard everything anyway, and I would have been able to write to you and tell you everything I heard. So what I'm thinking is I can treat it as if I am in the courtroom since I wasn't able to attend, and I can take notes and then I can distribute to you what I heard. So I've already done a little bit of that. It's a little bit dirtier and kind of gross, and very disheartening to hear it for yourself. Further, the video had very poor quality, so I ran it through a closed caption software program, and that gave me the details. So the reason why I was sparked to even ask for the video, or I actually asked for the transcripts first from the clerk of court. I got a response that they didn't exist, and then I spoke with someone else and said, I asked somebody else who was a little more versed in getting those types of records, and they were like, oh, there's got to be an audio somewhere. Like, they have to record this stuff. And I was like, okay, well, at first I just asked the clerk of court, hey, can any, is are all the hearings open to the public? Can anybody attend? And she said, yes, they're all open to the public. Well, then I went back and I said, I'm so sorry to bother you again, but can you tell me if there is a recording? And I got kind of a snippy response, and then my email got forwarded to like 5 people. Another lady sent me back the form and said, go this route. Well, the funny thing about that is I already had the form. I already knew that I could get the recording. I had already done my homework on the back end. I just kind of wanted to see what the clerk of court was going to do. Without further ado, let me get into the agenda. I'm going to try to get you guys a video done this weekend so that I can at least give you all the information I have. It's looking like none of our civic institutions are interested in doing that. And I will say the agenda is kind of a little bit of a pleasant surprise, and I'm going to show you why. So you know the drill, 5 p.m., Monday, February 3rd. You guys already know all this. You know that it's on the fire drive. You can go and grab it down, download it. I actually had to fix the link this morning, so if you went to it first and you bookmarked it or something, you might want to go back to the Facebook page and grab the link. All right, so we have a couple of things here. You approve your minutes, blah, blah, blah. Request board approval of administrative regulation on cybersecurity policy. I did not dig super far into this. I'm not a cybersecurity nerd. So if that is your area of expertise, take a look at it. If you see anything that's odd or you think is weird, let me know. You can send me a direct message. And looks like people have been using the website. So there's also a place to put messages on the website. You can send it to me directly. Let's see. Keeping on. And this is one of my notes that I just put in under general business. So looks like they had some stuff on the consent agenda here. These are grants, designating the county administrator as the signatory for a grant. Board approval. There is this request board approval of Clemens Rutherford and Associates work authorization for the engineering and design services for the St. Mark's Fire Rescue. So don't know what that's about. If that's something you're interested in and you want to dig into, take a look. But I didn't see anything that caught my attention. But what I did find is that they finally pulled some stuff out for general business. So usually, they just walk in with the consent agenda. They approve everything as one fell swoop. They don't discuss anything. They don't vote on anything line by line. So it looks like, I don't know if they've heard us or if they just want to make it look good. Either way, I'm tickled that there's stuff under general business that they might actually discuss. Looks like there's some stuff for the airport. I am not super versed in what the airport is doing. However, I do know it's an important part of our county, and I know they provide some pretty critical services. Flow of goods in and out, flow of people in and out. Believe there's some people that live in Tarpon that probably have their own planes, whatever. If you want to know more about the airport, I would suggest reaching out to the airport and they can tell you a lot about the value of the airport. So, not my area of expertise. If these are some things that you want to take a look at, they are here and there's backup documentation. All right, sales agreement and software license agreement with Continental Utility Solutions for sewer billing. So the only thing I found with that was if you go dig in and you look at how I'm always not concerned. I'm always interested when it comes to competitive procurement. What does that mean? It means like competitive going out and getting somebody to perform a business for the taxpayers. So if I go out and I only ask one person, hey, I would like to buy your service, how much is it going to cost me? And they come back and they're like, oh, it's going to cost you $2,000 a day. Well, they might have gave me a great sales pitch and we're only going to, we're going to just pay it. And maybe they just schmooze me and I thought it was great, but I didn't go out and ask the person down the street, how much would you charge me for the same service? So that's kind of what competitive procurement is. It's going out, throwing out a cast net, seeing what you pull back. And here's the deal. It's not always the way to go with the cheapest route out. I have actually done a procurement and picked someone who was the cheapest route out and it turned really, really bad. And the next time go around, now I had to fight for it because it's the government and, you have to justify a higher expenditure. But I actually did. I fought for it because I knew the person would do a better job than the other person. So it's just about the government going out and getting the best bang for the taxpayer buck. So I'm always interested when I see just this sales agreement and software license agreement with these solutions for the sewer billing. Now, what I will say about it, and I'm not going to read it all to you because I know I get a little boring when I go and do that. What I will tell you is that the software that they're currently using is super old. It's from they've had it since 2009, I think. And it doesn't allow EFT transfers or I don't know. I don't have sewer. So you guys that have sewer would probably know more than me. But apparently it's not efficient. It's not user friendly for the general public. If you have a different opinion about it and you use it, let me know. I'm curious. but they are trying to revamp that to make it better for customer service, better for the sewer customers. Now, my question is, how much is it going to cost? And is that cost going to get passed down to you, the people? So that's another question. And we won't know until we continue to watch things and then we see what happens later after they get all this stuff installed and, whatnot. So we have the request board approval of a resolution amending the designation and setting forth the departments, offices, and divisions in the county. We will go look at that here in just a second. Actually, we can get there now. This is a fairly short meeting agenda, so not a lot. Guys, you can go down here. Here's a conduct the final public hearing and adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 5 of the Land Development Code pertaining to off-premise signs. I think we went through that in the last agenda. They were, it was like double-sided signs. They could put in 2 for 1. Go back and look at the last agenda, and that will give you some more detail on item number 13. So, this is why we have to follow, right? You're going to have steps in the process. It's like the county will tell you, and our county administrator is absolutely going to tell you that we're just doing the first step in the process. The problem is they do the first step in the process, and while nobody's looking, next thing you know, it's going down. So it's happening. It's all happening. So keep moving along. Let me get to, I'm going to kind of scroll fast here. Like I said, guys, you can go download this. I hate to just scroll so slow so that you can stop on 220 pages. So you can go, maybe I'll even show you what it looks like when you download it. So if you've ever run into any problems, we'll check together before I go. Oh, some disposal of county property, which I don't know if I saw this. Maybe that was, I don't know. I have to go back and look at the top of the agenda, but this is disposal of county property. And we've had too much other stuff going on, in the county to really follow that, but I would be interested to follow it and see how accurate their inventory recording is, just because I always wonder who is actually getting the items that are being discarded of. I've had several county employees contact me that were interested to know where they went or have contended that they might be going to someone. If that's the case, that's a problem. We've got some nepotism, perhaps. Looks like, okay, this is some of the cybersecurity looks like, and it was something they had to do from the legislature. So if you, like I said, if you're a techie and you want to look into that, by all means, knock yourself out and let me know, because I'm not a techie. So let's see if we can get here a little faster. I know it's just like watching paint dry sometimes, isn't it? And this is like the new policy. So that's the administrative regulation that the county is going to put in their policy. So all this there if you want to read it. My goodness, it's long, isn't it? All right. These are grants. Maybe one day when we get bored and the BOCC starts acting right, we can dig into grants and follow that money. I bet you it would be fun. I mean, I'm joking, but probably needs to be done. Somebody probably needs to do it. Oh, I know what we wanted to get to. We wanted to get, so these are highlights. If these are just things that caught my attention. Looks like Dewberry Engineers is back. And I found it interesting. I was driving down Blairstone Road one day, and if you go by the Department of Environmental Protection on Blairstone, just before you get to St. Augustine, Dewberry Engineering is in the same building or in the same office complex. You'll see DEP and then you see Dewberry Engineering. I just thought that was interesting. I mean, way to get your government contracts. Yeah, just a lot of these people latch on to the government and then they make all their money from the government. Well, if they're making all their money from the government, who's paying them? You are. So just saying it's your money, and they might be doing a fantastic job. But remember that it's your money. All right, so these are just little things I found interesting. I'm not going to keep going through all of this. These are about the airport, so if you want to read more about the airport, they're in there. There's a lot of it. I mean, just be glad it's not a 400 page, which we haven't had a 400 pager in a while. Here's about the current sewer billing software. It's been in use since 2009. The only thing I found odd about this was that they didn't competitively procure it. It just says here at the bottom paragraph, if you read this, after an impressive demonstration, they requested a proposal from Continental Utility Systems to license their software. So here's what it's going to cost. I mean, the proposed agreement has a one-time startup cost of $19,000 or 20 grand, and then a monthly cost of $1,500. Now, that's a significant cost for software to run your sewer building. And then it goes up here and tells you the monthly cost is $1,591 for up to 3,000 customer accounts. So what kind of screws are they going to stick to us when we go over 3,000 accounts? Because you know it's coming. I mean, we just had a thing in the newspaper about a 76 house development right in the heart of Crawfordville, which I'm sure they're going to have to connect to sewer. So, I mean, I don't know. And then here's, after assuming responsibility for sewer billing from ESG, the county continued utilizing the software on a month-to-month basis with no formal agreement. The current cost for the system is $400 per month for 2,600 customers. So you're telling me for 3,000 now we're up to $1,591? You guys didn't shop that? You're just willing to buy something that's 3 times the cost for a couple hundred more customers, 400 more customers. So what's it going to cost us when we get over the 3,000? I mean, because that's going to happen in no time. And, you know, you always wonder, who are these companies connected to in the county, because they didn't competitively procure. Why didn't you go out and throw your cast net out to see what's the cheapest price you can get for the taxpayer? I just find this a little stupid. I mean, whoever's purchasing, you didn't, I mean, you didn't, you didn't go out there and see what everybody else had to offer. I mean, great. They gave you an impressive demonstration, but you didn't go out and see what anybody else would charge. Now we're going from $500 a month to $1,500 a month. Our cap is $3,000. That's going to be overrode in like no time. As fast as these people are putting in sewer, now they're talking about sewer on the north side. I mean, Wakulla County has a population of what, 30-something thousand people? Their goal is to develop and put as many of you on sewer as possible. So I wonder what it's going to cost us going forward. I wonder if any single commissioner will even ask the question. We'll see. Maybe they'll listen to Wakulla reports and then they'll ask. $20 grand up front, $1,500 a month, tripling what we're paying now. Cap of 3,000. Sewer customers were at 2,600. Just saying, you guys keep an eye on them. This is the stuff that happens, and then when your sewer bills go up, you start, well, what happened and why did our sewer go up? Because you wasn't paying attention. You letting them do stuff like this, and then your cost goes up, and then you wonder, why am I paying taxes and now I'm paying more fees? while we're waiting, somebody find somebody to run for District 4, please. Our next batch of elections, I believe, are going to be District 4. It'll be Nichols and Quincy. And just because it's a midterm, y'all, please do not sit it out. Vote. We need to find somebody who is a good human to run for District 4. The more I learn about Quincy, the less I like her. So if you know anybody, please get them to run for District 4. All right, here is the part that I wanted to take a look at. So, looks like they're doing some shifting around in the county, and they're changing up their org chart, and Summer is getting so many more duties. And what I found funny about it is reduction from 2 assistant county administrators to 1 and a relocation of various departments as follows. Now, I think many people already knew that she was already taking over animal control at the time Bonnie Staubitz left. As a matter of fact, I would contend that Bonnie Staubitz got some pretty condescending treatment from Summer Pell. I don't believe she has any interest in mind in truly making anything better. She just wants everybody in the public quiet. That's been her general sentiment towards the taxpayers and the public. So she's not a fan of you guys. She will be over fire, EMS, and animal control and adoptions now. Public services library, I mean, she's got a laundry list. Public information and tourism. Road, bridge, fleet, planning and community development department, building department, parks and facilities, recreation department of health. Now, David Edwards here, the following departments will remain under the county administrator: human resources, risk management, fiscal operations, revenue collections, procurement, solid waste, acquisitions, intergovernmental coordination, grants, communications and contract management, wastewater, golf course and airport. Human resources and risk management. I mean, have you, I know we haven't been through all the employment lawsuits, but this guy keeps popping up in employment lawsuits. And you're going to keep him over human resources and risk management. I'm just saying, I mean, he needs to hand, and I know Miss Debbie Dubose, I hope I said her last name right. I know that she handles HR for the county probably to the best of her ability, because what I gather is they're micromanagers and they want their hands in everything. Since David Edwards went in and fired that one girl, and then he just it was like a mic drop and he walked out the door. That was funny. I mean, it's not funny for the person who got fired and then nobody would even tell her why. But he just doesn't have a good track record with human resources. So I find it interesting he's keeping that. Now you've got him over the fiscal operations, of course. Revenue collections, procurement, solid waste, and acquisitions. Well, he's also had accusations in an employment lawsuit that he was practicing kind of disparate, I guess. I don't know that that's the correct word. I don't want to say shady. Okay, we'll say shady. He was practicing some shady procurement some behavior there. It looks like Dewberry Engineering, this girl's contending that they were kind of getting some preferential treatment, and then the board had to go change a policy and come into compliance, and so that hasn't went well. Intergovernmental coordination, grants, communications, and contract management. I've got a couple of contracts out there. I put them on the drive for you guys, and I think it's under the folder county contracts. And especially like the IT contract with Inspired Technologies is so incredibly vague. I mean, I don't know that the state of Florida, and I know the state of Florida is a much bigger entity, but you also have to understand that the state of Florida is broken into agencies and then there's sub departments, right? So you might have somebody that does contract management, maybe they manage 5 contracts, but when it comes to procurement time, it is then their job to develop everything, get everything in order, get with the other departments you need to get with, like legal, to make sure everything's I's are dotted, T's are crossed. Then you're going to meet with your director or your team leader or who your boss is, who's the head person over the little sub area. And you're going to go through that procurement and you're going to make sure your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, your contract is in place, things are detailed, you have the correct amount of deliverables so that you can monitor and manage and make sure you're getting the taxpayers the best bang for your buck. The contract process is very involved in the state. I have seen the contracts for the county that, especially like the Inspired Technologies, there is no performance guarantees, basically. I mean, usually at the end of a contract, there's a chart with, you have a report due every month that will show this, or I don't know. I think their contract management is still lacking. And so if he has too much on his plate, they're getting rid of a assistant county administrator. Do we have people that are capable in each of these departments under David Edwards that can actually do the job of managing it? Or is it such a thing that they are so micromanaged that they can't do their job? Because none of these things appear to be going well. Animal control certainly didn't go well. We've seen that. I've heard some pretty nasty horror stories about the fire chief. And then library seems to be fine. They're hands off. Veterans services. I've heard some riffraff with that. And I do know Winston is phenomenal. Winston, who is the Veterans Services Officer, is a rock star. So if you guys need to speak with him, if you have veterans in your family or somebody needs help, he is absolutely a rock star. Probation and University of Florida, that would be the Rachel Pienta girl, I would imagine. Which is funny, isn't her husband David Pienta the one that was involved? Well, he wasn't involved. He was questioned in the Kemp case. Very interesting how everybody's so connected in the county institutions. Anyway, I thought this was kind of interesting. And then they give you a updated chart. Let me see if I can zoom out for you. Yeah, there's your updated chart. So, but no one person can keep up with all this. So my question is, do we have effective people in all of these other roles to manage this stuff? And then you've got the county administrator still over human resources and risk management. Oh my. And then you've got him over the procurement and the fiscal operations. And he's so well connected to the construction industry. So very well connected. You guys decide. I've got to get out of here. I woke up late this morning and I was trying to push this video out for you. So I will wrap back around with you this weekend. And we're going to just start going piece by piece through the Kemp case. And I had some other stuff that I wanted to get out to you. But this seems like it's pretty important. Looks like nobody within the judicial or the law enforcement or the legal apparatuses of our civic institutions are going to hold him accountable. Supporters, whether they are supporters or dissenters of a person charged with a felony, should have no bearing on what happens with that individual. I am waiting on a phone call to see who I can send this video to. I have it. I have downloaded it. It is $25. It is very sad that because all of us couldn't be there, the only way we have to know what happened was by spending $25 and waiting 7 to 14 days to get a copy of the video. The good news is they've already went through their redaction process and they've already sent it to me. So if you pay the $25 and you get it with the form that I put for you online, you'll probably get it faster. And don't shoot the messenger, because the lady that gave it to me was super nice and super professional and super helpful. So, and here's the deal. I don't like or dislike Mike Kemp. I think he's a nice person. I think his heart's in the right place as far as community. I believe he has a strong desire to want to help. But the facts of the matter are that you did what you did. Becky Whaley, I'm sure she is also a decent human being as far as helping the community and doing things for the community. And I know she does the food drive. She ran the citizens page thinking it was like a public service, and it is. It certainly, I believe it is. That has nothing to do with what you did. Whether it was in a moment of anger, whatever happened, because you hurt people who are completely innocent. You tried to stifle somebody's First Amendment rights. So here's two things, and I'm going to go after this because I know I'm rambling. It's early. First of all, they were after Thunder Lightning. They want to know who Thunder Lightning was. Why was that such a big deal? He was an internet troll. So you know what I do with internet trolls? Wakulla reports what we do with internet trolls? We block them. It pisses people off, but I don't know what to tell you because, after a little time goes on, I haven't heard a thing about any of those internet trolls because we block them. They can't see our stuff. We can't see them. We cut off the communication. So I know you're a county commissioner and you probably can't block them, but nobody said that the county commissioner has to have social media or has to engage in social media. So, your remedies are ignore. Second of all, you're a public official, so you're going to have to take the heat. Just saying. So they went after him, trying to shut him up, wanted to find out who he was. Now, my question is, why was it so important to find out who he was? Why did they want to know? What were they planning to do with the information? Why would you want to know who that troll was? They got that what they thought was the information for Thunder Lightning, when in reality, they got the information from Ralph Thomas. Ralph Thomas was the one who went and used the WebElect software and looked this fella up, or who he thought was Thunder Lightning, and gave it to Kemp, who then texted it to Whaley, and then Whaley put it on the internet. They put the wrong person on the internet. If it had not been for Ralph Thomas pulling the information off of the WebElect, which you have to have a subscription to, that subscription has to have a sponsor, also known as the Republican Party of Florida, in order to even use it. So it's not like the general public can go get this. It's not like the general public can just go look it up and say, oh, anybody can get it. No, it was done in secret. There were conversations on the backdrop. We will never know what the conversation between Ralph and Kemp were because they never interviewed Ralph. Even though he was the originator of the document that was eventually posted online, it identified someone who was completely unrelated and unsuspecting. These people had moved here from Illinois to escape the policies of their state. And they moved here seeking refuge, and the next thing they know, their personal business is on the internet. Then, to further add insult to injury, they report it to the sheriff's office. The deputy comes to their house to get the report, and while they're getting a report taken, Kemp is caught on the body camera driving by their house. Kemp is calling them. Kemp is Facebook messaging them. Damage control. There are phone calls flying with Ralph Thomas and Becky Whaley and others. That's where we're at, folks. We're going to talk about it this weekend. Y'all have a good Friday Eve. Take care.